when you talk to people about changing a system, that if they feel there's a problem with the system, they will make changes. If they don't feel there's a problem with the system, they just think people are whining and complaining. And those that are rich, that are controlling the debate on these mortgage problems, really have investments in these mortgages and have an interest in getting them paid back. And those of us who are on the bottom part of the scale that are paying these outrageous interest rates, that are stuck in these bad loans, we don't hold the power. We don't control the votes and the state governments. Those who are generally in those bodies don't have a problem with mortgages. They think they're fine. And I could see how someone like Steve Wynn, who was quoted in Time magazine as saying it was greedy homeowners that's a problem, that's his perception. He's not lying. He really believes that. He just happens to be wrong. If you're not in a stressful situation, you have no idea what these people are going through. These people were caught up in a big storm. You know, they did nothing wrong to their house. They didn't paint their house with zebra stripes and polka dots, and they don't have a car up on blocks out in their front yard that has brought down the value of their house. They bought a house legitimately for $300,000 or $400,000, and now it's worth half of what it was. Oftentimes, it's not their fault that their income went down or they lost their job, but they're stuck. And, you know, this is the modern version of indentured servitude. These people have become slaves. Go to work and pay your mortgage. Go to work and pay your mortgage, and there's nothing left for you. There's no vacations. There's no payout. You're just a hamster on a wheel. And unless we do something to help these people and give them some relief, you know, we've created a whole new class of modern slaves.
One day I just happened to go out there to clean the yard, and I saw a sign that says we're starting to, I think it was New Year's Eve, that was what they had told me, they were going to put my house up for auction. So that I went, and this was like December 15th, 2 weeks before. So then I went in to see Ian, and I told him all this. He called. They go, oh no, it's Christmas Eve. Not New Year's, it was Christmas Eve. It's even worse than we had thought. You know, the economy goes bad, the stock market crashes, you know, your investments dry up into nothing. My particular job where I work, there was no more overtime. They were laying people off. It was just a confluence of many bad things that happened all at one time that I don't think anybody could predict, you know. And still, you know, people still have credit card debt. They still have car payments, you know, gas, water, electricity, cable, phone. It became a juggling act to like, what can I not pay this month and what can I pay this month? And it just got so overwhelming. So I was really stuck, you know, and that's why I went to Fortress.
This is one client's mail. And it's, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, there's got to be 50 envelopes here that are sent to a client telling them they're in default. Why do they send this many pieces of mail? I think the number one reason is intimidation. This is a big intimidation. This is something that I'm just going to screw with you and scare you into complying with the bank's request. And this is just nonsense. This is what happens. And when people are going through this alone and they don't have an advocate explaining the process to them, telling them what's going to happen, explaining why it's happening and what's going to happen next, it can be very scary. And I found that you know, the people sometimes just choose to give up the fight. Just, you know what, I'm done. Throw their hands up in the air and just start packing boxes.
There was a point where I thought I was going to have to walk away from the home. I had my books in boxes, and it was right at Christmas time, and I decided to talk to Ian at Fortress Credit. and we got the paperwork going. And gosh, once I handed things over to them, there was no more stress. I didn't have to do anything other than submit the paperwork. And after signing up and doing a hardship letter, I answered no phone calls. I wrote no letters. Fortress Credit handled everything. They took all the stress off of me for months on end, and just dealt with everybody. And it was a huge relief.
There are some people that made bad choices and bought too much house, and that's always going to happen, I guess. But by far and large, you got people that were doing what was the conventional wisdom. Buy a house. It's a forced savings account. Well, these people owe their savings account an extra $200,000. I mean, it's not a savings account. It's a chain around their leg with a big ball and chain. I mean, this is not what it was proposed to be. You know, it's not an investment. It's a debt, and these people are paying a big price for these miscalculations made by these banks. The system failed them, and now the system needs to help them out of this problem.
I help people fix their mortgages. I also help people fix their credit. And I started out fixing their credit, and we were a licensed debt adjuster with the state of Nevada.
Our first loan modification that we did was in the early part of 2007. An employee of mine came and asked me for a raise, and he needed a raise, and he needed it today. And I said, you know, hey, what's going on? And he told me that his mortgage had increased. He thought he signed a regular 30-year fixed mortgage, and he was rushed through his signing, like so many people were, where you sign a stack of paperwork a couple inches thick in about 5 minutes. He had signed an adjustable rate mortgage with a teaser rate, and his first and his second mortgage had gone up apparently over $700, and then was set to keep adjusting up for the next 30 years. It was a bad loan, and it was going to cause him and his wife to lose their house. I was furious. I got on the phone with the mortgage company, and I beat him up, and we went back and forth, and it took some time, a lot of letters, a lot of faxes, and I ended up modifying his loan, getting his payment lowered, not having to refinance it, but actually reducing his rate. And I still think I was one of the first, if not the first, person to do a loan modification in Las Vegas in this current financial crisis that we're in today.
You know, ultimately a company is just individuals. I don't like their tactics, any of the bank's tactics, and I don't like the fact that they treat people like numbers. They can make you homeless. They can evict you, foreclose on you, throw you out on the street, and then sue you for however much they lost. It's amazing. It's happening all over this town. It's sick.
Calls may be randomly monitored or recorded for quality and training purposes.
We're going to randomly monitor them too.
Play Christmas music.
Yeah. It's funny, I didn't know the Grinch played Christmas music. I have Mr. Haggard sitting here in front of me. I'm going to allow him to do a one-time authorization for me to speak to you on the phone.
And they didn't want to talk to Ian. They only wanted to threaten me. Everybody could hear how rude they were, or how cold and, you know, just just the facts, not caring, not realizing this is a home, that there's people that live here, that there's pets that live here.
Hey, Rudy. Okay, my name's Ian Hirsch. Well, what's the story? Do we have a modification offer on the table?
That's when Ian basically took over, and it seemed like he just started reading them the riot act, like he knew exactly what to say, and all of a sudden they stopped with the threatening, and we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, and they backed off.
But your company has him on a option arm with a negative amortization feature, where his balance has been going up every month, even though he's been paying what is considered the minimum payment.
And then I guess they started their professional dialogue with the paperwork. And then right away, you automatically feel like there's a great weight lifted, especially that time of year. It's Christmas time.
He went through a bad divorce that he's still dealing with some repercussions from currently. They never want to talk to me. That's just kind of the deal. They get to push you around. They don't get to push me around. Lovely. I'll tell you what he said later. Yes,
Up until that time, I just assumed I was going to have to find an apartment to live in. But I didn't want to leave my house. And I've been here for 8 years, so it's not like, I got in to try and flip the house. This is my home.
no other properties, no other mortgages. At this time, it's him and him only. Gas, water, and electric together is $380. We have HSBC credit card. We have a monthly minimum payment on that of about $50 per month.
Oh, Providian. Forgot about that.
Auto insurance
That he's paying
$150
for education, and that's $1,000 a month.
We've calculated that he would be able to afford a $1,500 payment. We have that started immediately. What was he saying?
The documentation that we've sent you that this was going to happen starting with guys, the petition was filed with the clerk.
Yeah. So he's saying that they sent you documentation that you're going to get it foreclosed on back in August.
Right.
I mean, foreclosing on Christmas Eve. Let's foreclose on somebody on Christmas Eve. I don't care if it's like Scrooge that's past due on his payments. You don't do that. They're just making it difficult. I mean, that's their job, to make it difficult.
That's right.
Okay, Mr. Hirsch.
Yes. Has he been tentatively approved for HAMP? Okay, are we going to be able to get a postponement on the sale date? So he doesn't have to worry that on Christmas Eve it's postponed. Okay, very good. Thank you. Great, bye-bye. Sale date's been postponed.
Woof! Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay, so our
Thank
work's
you.
not done.
Of course.
Our work's not done. Now it just starts. You're gonna get something in the mail, so when you get it, I want it that same day.
Okay.
All right, brother.
All right.
Smile, have a great night.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. I went from just a couple employees to 15 employees in a relatively short period of time, and created a business out of something that there wasn't one.
So I came here when they closed our dealership doors, and I was out of a job. I came here to get modified on my home loan, and they hired me to do the work here. So they trained me. I love it. I had several job offers to go back to a car dealership again, and I turned it down because I like being here. Money is not everything. So it's just the neatest thing to get people modified to stay in their homes. Makes me want to cry, so I don't want to. I won't cry. I just love it here. They showed me a whole new other side of people versus what car dealerships, what they show you. And here it's just a whole new side of what people are actually made of. And they go through everything, all their money, everything, just to keep that house. One lady told me today, she goes, and this made a lot of sense. She put a lot of blood, guts, and tears into her house just to make it look nice, and now they want to take it. And she goes, I'll sell everything to keep my house. it means too much for me. She doesn't want to walk away from it. I've seen some people walk away, but just to hear some of these people, I'm not giving it up. I myself, not giving my house up. I won't. You know, and that's what this lady did tell me today. She goes, I'm not leaving without a fight. This is my home. And she's been there a long time. And that's how I feel, you know. All the money that these people had, and you see it in their financials when you look at it and go, they went through their 401k, they went through all their savings, they borrowed money thinking that everything was going to turn around, and it didn't. So this is what I like to do. So, but Ian does know I cry.
And I've got, 15 employees that get paid every 2 weeks. We are part of the local economy, and we also try to help, people keep their homes. It's a nice win. It's a nice win. So it gives me the ability to go home and sleep well at night.
They gave me a notice. They were selling my house August 4th. I took them the paperwork the end of July, and he told me, get in here, bring me your loan documents. We need to get a move on. I didn't think it could save my home. I went to see him Monday. I took the loan documents to him on Tuesday. We did a lot of stuff through fax, and he called me Monday at my job. The following Monday, he says, Wanda, I got it all in writing. In 1 week, he saved my home. In 1 week, he did it in 1 week. I don't know how he did it. You know this company is smart. That's all I know. They're very intelligent. They know what they're doing. They know what's going on out there, what these lenders are up to.
People need help. People need an advocate. People need to have somebody that has been through this hundreds of times, knows what to expect, explains to them what's going to happen next. Because if they don't have that, they're learning how to do a loan modification on themselves, on their family, on their home. And it's not impossible, but it's very difficult. And this kind of stuff is just, this is what drives families apart. This is what hurts society. This is what puts people on the street.
Some of my best moments, when you think about your victories, you think about the successes that you have. I remember the times where I could save somebody's house, where I stopped a foreclosure, where I was able to keep people in the houses. I mean, I've gone up and down the hallways high-fiving, the employees here on deals that were the pro bono stuff that we've done. We've done the work because it was the right thing to do, because they couldn't do it themselves.
The McDowells came to me with their boxes packed before Thanksgiving, about ready to be evicted and foreclosed on and pushed out of their home. A retired couple, hardworking people, and the whole system had just failed them, had taken advantage of them, chewed them up and spit them out.
And he said, don't worry, he called us. He said, come down here. Don't worry about it. And I said, I'm already packed. He said, I tell you what, this is your Christmas gift, unpack. And we were like floored, He said, unpack, He said, I think they're going to save your house.
I don't think I ever even cried in my life. But when he called us in, I broke down.
When the McDowell's file came through, and we got that loan modified, I was running up and down the hallways, high-fiving other employees. I mean, it was such a gratifying moment. I never got paid a dime on the McDowell's file, but it was one of those cases that just, we saved a home. We saved a home. We got people to stay in their home. We stopped the big bad bank from taking their home from this nice retired people. I sleep well at night knowing that this is what I do. I know that we're a positive part of what's going on here. There's a lot of bad things that are going on, but there's also a lot of good things that are going on. And saving that house, that was a great moment.
Yeah, this is Steve's house. This is Steve Haggard's house right here. And if we didn't get involved, this house would have been taken and listed for sale, and it's being a foreclosure. One more house hurting everybody else's property values in the neighborhood. But, you know, we were able to renegotiate the deal with the bank and keep him in his house. And this is it. This is what we do. It's not a mansion. It's not something that somebody's trying to put something over on the bank, but it's a real hardship. The property value has gone down, and we solved the problem. We solved the problem. Got the loan current, kept him in his house. He's making payments on it now. The bank is accepting payments now. They're just smaller. This is it. This is a brick and mortar. This is what we're talking about here, the real deal.
One of the things that we do for clients is help explain what's around that corner, that scary corner. What are those things that are about ready to happen that they don't see coming? There's a lot of mind games that these banks play with consumers. You know, the notice of default being prominently taped on the front door with bright blue tape. This, and each one of these is a single envelope, is a stack of mail and then certified mail of the same exact thing.
I saw a notice on the door. It was duct taped on my door, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's an eviction notice.
We thought we were going to be evicted. At that point, I just lost it. What was really great about Fortress is that they're actually here in Las Vegas. And we were able to go into their office, speak to them directly, and that was worth it to me. I mean, just being able to go into a place and seeing the people, and you know, they really seemed like they cared, like what was going on, and they were with us every step of the way.
And with Fortress, boom, Barbara would call us back, and 5 or 10 minutes, the service, every single thing that came into the mail, especially that notice, we would fax it over to Ian and Bob and Barbara, and they would
Straight over to
they would be
Fortress
on
Credit.
it. Don't worry, this is just a sales tactic. They're just trying to scare you. You know, things that we just couldn't understand. I mean, they were amazing. Every single problem, any situation that arose, they treated you as if you were the only client. And that's what I really liked about them. You were number one.
Ian was there. He was at the mediation. I'm sure the other company, they wouldn't even call us back. But Ian, he was there. He had all the documentation. It looked like it made a big impression on them, and they came back with an offer. And that offer was right away.
There are people that we help. The neighbors down the street, the kids' friends, the teachers in the local schools that we help, and they'll never know my name. Well, they'll never know about Fortress Credit Services, but we have a positive impact on our community. We have a positive impact on what's going on now in our society, and it's something else. It really is something else. This is my favorite job that I've ever had. I mean, this is the best thing that I've ever done, and I love it.
Stand by.
This is Face to Face with John Ralston.
Talking about the biggest issue facing this state, maybe the country, maybe what's holding back the economy, the housing crisis. We're talking to Ian Hirsch, who's an expert we've had on this program many times.
Reducing principal is the key. I've said it on your show before. Reducing principal is the key. I don't know what we're waiting for. I mean, you know, my first loan modification that I did for somebody was in 2007. 2007. Why are we still here talking about this?
What's the answer to that question?
Well, you know, the answer is because it was a far bigger problem than anybody had originally thought. You know, we thought just historically that houses wouldn't come down this far in value. There are people that are doing the right thing, paying their mortgages on time, and will never get any help. Yeah, and a lot of those people got their homes foreclosed on. Why? Because they were past due. But many cases, those same banks that foreclosed on them advised them to go past due in the first place because they couldn't offer help unless they were at least 60 days past due.
The banks told us we had to be 6 months to a year behind before they would even consider us to do a modification.
We didn't want to miss a payment. That seems like something you just don't do.
And then when you do get behind, they want to hold it against you.
Hold it against
when they were the ones who told you you had to be 6 months to a year behind.
Right.
Figure out a way to bring in more people to Las Vegas. Hopefully, City Center long term. Oh boy, I usually don't get nervous. I usually am. We're gonna save some houses. We're going to save some houses. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try to save some houses. You know, that's what I do. I like to do that. You know, these loans were bad. But one good thing that happened was we built a lot of houses that people are going to be living in for a long time. The bad thing is that there's got to be some sort of transition in the middle here. Otherwise, they're going to all get destroyed. These houses are going to basically be unbuilt unless they do something, and they need to do something quick. We need to stop these foreclosures.
I've had 2 separate cases where a husband and a wife came in, and the husband has admitted to the wife and to me that they've considered killing themselves in order to get the insurance money to solve this problem. This is just crap. And to think that these banks would have this kind of power over us, that we would surrender such a big part of our liberty, and consider taking our own lives in order to solve our financial problem. It is sick. It is sick, the power that we've given them over us. You know, I told them that this is just paper. This is just paper and threats and numbers and nonsense. You know, this is the devil's game. You're dancing with the devil when you go into this, and you have to know what the rules are. And certainly, killing yourself over a track home is not the answer. Not the answer at all. There are people that can be helped, and the banks are just not offering that help. I often say that if the banks start acting the way they should and treating people with respect and like people, that we'll be out of business. I don't see that happening. They treat these people like they're a number, and they want their pound of flesh, and they want it now. I feel very strongly that if we didn't get involved, there'd be an extra almost 1,000 foreclosures if it wasn't for the work that we've done.